Howdy, folks. It's Meandering Mike in the Man Cave of Madness. It is after midnight, and we're doing a video on more Blue Panther games you haven't heard of, probably. Yeah, so we did one earlier that covered a lot of obscure Blue Panther titles, not the current run of on-demand publishing stuff that you see on the website, but things that he did in the past, ranging from 2006 through about 2023 was the latest version. I think one had been a third edition, but most of them were things in the 2008 to 2014 range when these came out. All right, now, again, a theme in these is wood. They all have, well, except this one. I don't think this one has any wooden pieces, but they're either in wood boxes. And even this one, even though it doesn't look like it, this is in a wood box with a sort of a paper, not really cardboard, but paper sleeve over it. And there's various wooden components in most of these, but not this one. So we're going to look at this one first. This is Hokkaido, Trade and Intrigue in Shogun, Japan. This is by Stephen Jones himself. I believe this was 2010. And I think this is part of a series. It says the second in the Trailblazer series. I think it's this Trade and Intrigues. I believe Nepal was the first one in that series. All right. So it says it's for 2 to 4 players, relatively short, 45 to 60 minutes, ranges 13 up. Now, we're not going to look in super detail at all these, but we're going to open them all up and show you some of the components, some of the interesting things. Now, one of the issues for some of these games when they're in the cardboard boxes, some of them are really tight. So I will be back once I open it up, right? So that wasn't too hard, but some of these are a little difficult. I don't know if the lid shrunk, if the bottom part's expanded or what, but some of the cardboard boxes are tight. All right, so this has a rounded corner rules. This is on a slick paper. It's not super glossy. Now you can see the highlight, the light reflecting off of it, but it's not really glare from what I'm seeing. And with the black ink on it, it's quite easy to read. So even though this is a kind of like a buff ecru color paper, one of these games here has an interesting textured, not visually textured paper that usually I'm leery of, but this that particular works well. But we'll get to that when we see it. So I believe there's 4 pages of rules in this one in 2010. All right, this one has cards. There are 32 trade cards. I'm going to show you those pretty quickly. I think it says there's only 28, but there's actually 32. So I don't know if some of the cards were duplicated or if they just have more cards. So there's a few player aid cards that lists the number. You get 3 actions a turn, and it tells you what you can do. And this is an example of sort of province to province within Hokkaido. So this has the island of Hokkaido. It's a jigsaw puzzle map. Now, this is cardboard. Some of these maps that he does in the jigsaw are actually wood, but this one is cardboard. That's why this one does not have any wooden pieces. So the map fits together. No, this one is up here, like that. So you can see that there's some trade zones. So the rest of Japan, China, Korea, and out at sea. And then here is the island of Hokkaido. Different colored provinces with a city in each. So I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce all of these. I believe it's simply Hakodate, Kojizo, Kitami. I think that's a B. Obahijo. Wakanai. I think you try to pronounce all the vowels where possible. Sapporo. All right. So these trade cards reflect endpoints between two, either one of these boxes. or the city in one of the colored regions. And each player has, and we're not going to go into super detail, it's probably more than one. You've got these gemstones for the colors which you put in the provinces, and then there's these discs. There should be 4 of them, and that's the scoring track around the outside as you gain points for setting up these trailblazing the trade routes is what it says. So, and there's point values for these trade routes. Some are easier than others, or some are worth more points or less points. So that's the gist of this game. That's about the level of detail we're trying to go to. Some of these have some interesting quirks because of the physical componentry dealing with the wooden pieces, and again, this one does not have wood. So I'm 99% certain this is the only one of these that I'm showing you in this video that doesn't have any wood components in it, if I remember correctly. All right, so let me set that aside. Let's see, of course. There we go. Now, next I want to show you this one here. This is interesting. I'm going to set that aside there. That's a tall one that likes to fall over. This is a game here by Jeff Stahl. This is a limited edition. You can see it says of 50. This is number 26 of 50. This is not a Blue Panther game yet. So in here, there's some kind of designer notes or anecdote by the designer that thanks Steve Jones of Blue Panther for lending him his engraving machine. So Jeff Stahl self-published this and used Steve Jones' engraving machine to engrave these wooden log platform tiles, okay? So this game, The Colony, is like Mancala. If you're familiar with Mancala, there's all these pits, and you have stones in them, and you pick them up and drop off the stones by certain rules. You keep dropping and counting and picking up until they end in empty spaces or whatnot. And that's the general gist of Mancala. This has special rules because you are dealing with ants. Yes, there are plastic ants here, red and black. These are their eggs. These are little stones. And this, you form up the Mancala board according to this chart here. Okay, and there's this pathways that as you pick up and drop off the eggs, you've got to do it in the order. There's some places where you have a choice, where it branches. Okay. So I want to talk about the quirks of the physical components. So this is how this game was originally built by the designer, self-publishing in limited edition. And then we're going to go look at, okay, when Blue Panther then published it later. See, this is, you can see there, 2008, and I believe the full Blue Panther version was 2010. So what changed? All right, let me get this card in here. So again, Blue Panther at this time specializing in wood, but we do not see the repeat of these wood logs in the new version. Okay, and we don't have the fancy plastic ants or the glass bead eggs. And this is a good thing, actually. Well, I like the ants. I like the plastic ants, and I wouldn't mind seeing those stay in the new version. However, okay, this is going to be the case. I'm going to stop it to get the box open. So we're open. So, very short rules. One of the things that was done was all those logs are no longer separate wooden pieces that you had to put in order. This this is a wooden board, a jigsaw board. So like I was saying in Hokkaido, that was a cardboard board. This is a wooden jigsaw board. Now you have to be careful. I'm going to tilt down here in a second. You hear that? These two jigsaw pieces, when you're closing it and opening it, if you're not careful, you could break those off. So be careful. But now you've got the board laid out here. It's in the right pattern, the right branches in the right places, and boom, you just put it together and set it up. So this is much easier to set up. All right. Now, I like those wooden log pieces in the other one. If you had a version of the game where like these things would rotate or something at certain times, where you had a really different version of Mancala, that would be cool. But as the game was designed, this is a much better production methodology of presenting. Here is the playing surface. Now, those pieces, okay, here we go. You're saying, what am I seeing? Okay, these are the eggs. I don't know. There you go. See that glare? But you can see, oh, I should be able to punch one out. All right. Now, these have enough thickness that these are easy to pick up. Those glass bead stone eggs with my big fat fingers, oh my God, that was so frustrating trying to pick those eggs up. Now I'm trying to see if I can get this back in there. Yeah, I can. All right. So much better choice. Now, the ants, I like the plastic ants. Now, we're going to try to be careful here. Okay, so here are the wooden ants. Now, I believe you can actually punch the center part of this ant out. And whether you wanted to, I mean, those legs are going to break off. Once you pull this off, you want to play with the oval with the negative space and not try to play with the ant in the middle. You can leave the ant in the middle. It's fine. And, you know, once these are, you can tell, you know, that black ant, it's still an ant compared to these eggs, right? But the black one will definitely probably look better with the center taken out. But again, trying to play with the center ant as opposed to the negative space here, it's probably going to break and lose legs. So anyway, good choice of the eggs becoming wood. These are kind of, I mean, for you know, a wood thing, this is kind of slick and those ants running around, but I also did like the plastic ants. All right, so that's about the extent we're going to cover this, other than saying it's a standard Mancala game, except it's not. Again, Mancala, you know, you pick up guys and you start counting out the stones, and if the last stone that you're counting out ends in another, what do we call it? A bucket or a pit in Mancala with more stones. You pick those up and keep counting, and when it's, you know, ends in an empty one, that you stop and you take one, you capture one, leave an empty spot, etc. And there's some rule about 4 and exactly 4. Well, this has, so you're counting out if there's no ant covering a log space, depending how many eggs you do something. If the opponent's ant is there, whether you stop moving or keep moving eggs, or yours is there. And so it's a blend of normal Mancala, but these ants and the interaction with the eggs. Okay, so interesting little game. I played the original version a little bit. I have to say I'm not a master. I mean, I never was really good at Mancala, sort of figuring out what's the real strategy, and this, of course, is different. So it would take me a while to figure out, you know, what are you really trying to do? How you're trying to, you know, do the strategy for this game. But there you go. So I'm going to put this apart carefully. I'm going to do it off camera so I don't rush and break the little tabs off. All right, so let's see what else we've got here. I'm going to look at this one next, Cambridge. I actually got 2 copies of this because, well, there was a production problem with the first one I got. All right, here we go. wood box, wood pieces, and the version I had a mistake. There was one letter missing and an extra of another letter. So there's the letters A through Z, and then there's 4 special pieces that they call honor tiles. And in the one version that I had, they were missing one of the honor tiles. They have a duplicate of one, and they had a duplicate of one letter and missing one. So that's kind of a pain in the ass. You can get around that, of course. You can just use a marker and mark, because these tiles start face up, and you flip them face down when they're utilized. So it doesn't really matter. You can have, a remarked tile for everything, but I had to get another one, and this one was complete. Now, interestingly, there's these pawns for the players. They're different colors. Okay, both sets has a blue and a yellow one, but this has like natural wood, orange, and green, and this one had, besides the yellow and blue, it had one black, one white, and one light blue. So it's interesting that the pawns were mixed. And I don't know if you can see this, but there's wood grain that's vertical on these. And in this set, with the letters, the wood grain is horizontal. So all of these were cut on a sheet with the grain one way and these the other. So I don't know if half and half, got cut one way or the other or not, and slightly different color stain to some. I think this set was a little lighter, the other one was a little darker. So that's one of the things of dealing with sort of these more natural components that, day to day, the etching might be a little deeper or darker. From day to day, the wood being slightly different batch of wood, more or less grain, which way the grain is going when you put it together, etc. Now, these are both, I think this one had a 2006 version and a 2008 version. Whoops, I'm spilling it over. If you have the 2006 version of this, do note that there are rules changes in the 2008 version that you can find on Board Game Geek. You definitely want to get those. It addressed a couple issues. I think made it a little nicer. So if you have this game or are thinking of picking it up, make sure you get the 2008 rules. All right. Now, you can see these don't lock into place. It's not like a locking puzzle box, but handy dandy plasti bands. Don't use rubber bands, plasti bands. So that's Cambridge. Now, I didn't talk about the rules much at all. It's a kind of like a cross between Hangman and a letter grid. You take out all 26 letters and the 4 honor tiles, and you randomize and you put them in a 5x6 grid, and each player's token is placed by another player somewhere on the map, and each player has chosen a word. I think it's between 5 and 9, or 6 and 9 letters, and you've revealed to the other people, like Hangman, a space for each one. They know how long your word is, but not what. And as you move around on your turn on the board, you can reveal letters or try to guess the opponent's word. If you guess the opponent's word and you're wrong, you're out. But if you're right, you get good points. So it's kind of a head-to-head combat Hangman with the letter grid for maneuvering around and those honor tiles have like special abilities for revealing letters or bonus points for guessing ones or certain things like that. So it's an interesting little, I think it's 2 to 4 players, 2 to 5. All right, so that's Cambridge. And again, it was 2006, 2008. It was like the second edition. All right, so let's continue with the ones in the wood boxes. Now, this one, Central Pacific, I'm not sure if there's 2 or 3 editions. This one is 2006, fairly early on. This one does not have a game board. This is 100% wood components, which isn't 100% true because, well, I suppose paper is wood pulp fiber. The rules are not on wood; they're in paper. All right, it's a train game. Yes, a tile laying train game with, tracks, tunnels, forests, mountains, various kinds of cities. There's 4 start city. Each player gets a start city. It's the Golden Spike. It's it's the transcontinental. They're trying to hook them up together. So this is the Central Pacific where the 2 things are coming together, and you use these racks. These are like the tile holding racks that you have. You use them to measure out if you're 2 players or 3 players or 4, to space yourself out. Now that's one of the changes in the subsequent edition of this game, where they actually have a grid board that you set up on. This does not have a board. You're just laying these tiles out on the tabletop, and you're trying to, start a certain distance away and trying to use the rules in such a way that you're eventually going to hook up. And I think that was maybe a little problematic, and that's why they went for a grid board in a subsequent thing. Now, I'll show you real quick here some of the layouts that end up. This is showing rules about where you can place, when certain rules about what can get next to what can block certain things or not. And there's certain rules about, as you're developing out from your starting city, before the golden spike has been placed and the rail lines have been joined, and once it's joined, scoring changes, and there's certain things that you're doing to try to you have to worry about little spur lines that haven't been closed off, and you can sort of steal from the other player. If they're not careful, you can, grab sort of, pieces of track that they've kind of laid. All right. So, there are, I think these round tokens are tracking tokens for each player. Here you can see there's a whole bunch of straights and turns and 3 ways, 4 ways, branches, etc. And I don't remember all the ins and outs of these round pieces with there's special rules for different aspects. So that is Central Pacific, and again, like I said, there is different versions. You probably want to get the later version with the map grid. However, if you're a collector like myself, you might want both versions. I do not have the version with the grid. I only have this version. And of course, if the opportunity comes up, I'll get the later version too that has the grid to see how that actually, impacts the play and what are the special rules with that. I'm totally into comparative game design stuff. And of course, I left that out. I'll need to put that away. I'll leave that off camera. All right, so let's continue to the next wood box game, Yang-Tzee. All right, as you can see, there's water, so a lot of water. Okay, so I was thinking first it's the elements, but there's earth. Is that air from the rain? But that's water, and that's water. So let's see. All right, so open that up. This is by now I've been covering all the. This is by Brendan Herlihy. The Cambridge was by Brendan Herlihy. We saw that Colony was by Jeff Stahl. And we see Blue Panther is by Stephen Jones himself. All right. As was Hokkaido. right. So this is a tile game where each tile has 3 things on it. It's got a pair of symbols and a blossom, or a plant symbol and a symbol. All right. Now, so some of these have special rules and special cases, so you're going to need to learn to recognize these. Bamboo, mum, orchid, plum. Now, so the plum, the bamboo, you can get these that, if you know, mum kind of looks more like a sunflower, and the orchid, what you're used to seeing, like, jungle orchids and things like that. Now, this picture here, that's not a fish. That's not a fish. See that thing that says hole? That's another hole with the graphic just squashed. You can see the bird. Okay, that's a sun, not a hole. That's a moon, not a pomegranate or something. Rabbit. So those are pretty easy to tell as long as you learn them. Okay, that's the hole. That's the sun and the moon, a bird, obviously. And the fish, we'll find a fish here on a tile. There's your fish. Okay, so there's a plum, blossom, a rabbit, and a fish. Now, so there's these tiles. Notice there's different colors. This is a light blue. This is dark navy blue. It's actually supposed to be black, but in my eyesight, that looks like a navy blue, but it is what it is. I often have trouble distinguishing between black and navy blue, depending on how much light there is or not. This game sort of has some poetry to it. They talk about your rain is sort of your pool of cards, your hand of cards. The sphere is the pool, the deck pool, the drawing pool. The sea is the sort of tableau of tiles that have been laid out. And it starts with all the light blue tiles. There's 9 of those that start in the middle. And then there's the stream that's flowing. The rain flows into the stream, and you can certain players can play right into the sea or through the stream. I haven't actually played this myself yet, but you have to learn some of the peculiarities of the combination of what's a valid collection, gathering together a collection, and scoring, and like the holes are important because the non-holes are treated one way, suns, moons, birds, rabbits, or fish, and the holes are treated a different way. So you need to learn those symbols, and you need to learn how that's different that way. And there's a tracking board, and here are the symbols for tracking your points. And I'm assuming that one side plays the sun, one side plays the moon, because there's a pair of them for the tens and ones digits, and you're doing like that. All right. So that is Yang-Tzee. Again, that was from Brendan Herlihy, who also designed Cambridge. All right, put that on there. This was 2008. All right. Oh, and this is the second edition. I have no idea the difference between the second edition and earlier editions. Okay, I haven't tried to pursue that and see what difference there is that way. All right. So we're getting down. We got 3 more games to go here. All right. And this next one, we're going to do this one. This one is weird. Okay. Smackatoa, punning off of the island of Krakatoa that exploded. This is supposed to be like a reality TV show. Escape the Volcano reality show. All right. Now, so this is a wooden box. This is a sleeve. This is a paper sleeve. This is not a cardboard sleeve. This is thick paper, not cardboard. Usually when they have a sleeve like this, it's some thicker form of cardstock, but this is just thick paper. So be careful with this as you're sliding out. 2009, another Brendan Hurley. So he did Cambridge and Yang-Tzee and Smackatoa. All right, so there's cards, some custom dice. However, we're gonna look at it. Now here's the wooden box. There's actually no markings on the wooden box. It's all well, that's not true. It says Smackatoa on the two sides here, but no engraving on the top. All right, so this I think has 2 sheets of paper, so it's 4 pages, so 2 each side, 4 total pages of rules. There's penguins involved. There's eruptions. There's a raft building. There's action cards. There's these tokens from 2 to 12 that the different players own, kind of like Catan, how different parts of the island have these numbers on them and things grow. Well, you're rolling dice and things happen, but who owns those tiles? But there's a hot potato. There's a skull token that as the let's see, I can't remember if I put it in here. If it's in here somewhere. The skull token as the volcano erupts, whoever had that, it's like it's going to burn you, make you lose cards or whatnot. And there's like a good and bad to losing and playing cards, but you can get points for getting rid of your cards first, but you also can get points for building the raft. Remember, this is a Escape the Volcano reality show, supposedly. So yeah, here's the raft pieces, and then there's coconut trees, things that let you build different raft pieces. There's jetsam and flotsam, same thing. You can find pieces to build raft. There's plot twists, because again, this is a reality TV show. And how do you deal with plot twists? Well, there's a plot twist table. Random events, okay? And so you roll 2 dice from 2 to 12. You've got Native Banquet, Penguin Power Activate, the tables turn, Tribe Shake Up, Penguin Power Activate. Another one of those. I think it's slightly different though what effect happens. Creeping Paganism, more Penguin Power, All-Star Reunion Show, more Penguin Power, Sacred Voting Council of Life, Fire, or whatever. Getting voted off the island. Even the volcano hates this show. Scoring are in units of 5 points. And it's like, well, why do that? Why not cut this in half, go from 1 to 60 instead of 5 to 300? I don't know. you tell me. And then there's an eruption chart depending on the current eruption level. And depending on what you roll, how many cards you discard. Now, so there's the wooden piece. You have the box. The cards are cardboard, but you got these different tokens. You got the penguins. You got the rafts. You got these tokens. I want to talk for a second about the custom dice. Now, these are die 6s. So they're not really custom dice, but they are custom dice. Sometimes you want flavor in a game. If you're building a game and you do custom dice are expensive on average, but maybe it's important to you. So in here, the volcano, can you see that? That's the 1. Here's the 6. Now, some of you already noticed, like, wait a minute. The way die 6s are supposed to be built is the opposite faces are supposed to always add up to 7. And when you have the 2 and the 5, and you're supposed to have the 3 and the 4. Nope. See, they got the 3 and the 4 here, and the 6 is over here. The 4 is on that side, so it's all messed up. There's the 1, the volcano, to the 3. So this is truly a custom die, but it's from 1 to 6, with the 1 being a volcano, but it's not a standard offset 1, 6, 2, 5, 3, 4. So does that matter? No, not really at all. But if you are going to make custom dice and there happen to be die 6s, do put them on the right side. if you're going to have 1 through 6, do put them on the correct offsetting sides. Okay, just there might be a reason why you're doing custom, and then you might not have any 1s and 6. You might have like 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, or something like that, or whatever. Or you want a symbol for the 1, or you want a symbol for the 6. That's fine. But a little pet peeve of mine: if you're doing a custom die 6, have them 1, 6, 2, 5, 3, 4. Thank you very much. All right, so like I said, this is a weird one. I have not played it, but it sounds weirdly fascinating. Give it a try at some point. And like I said, do be careful with the sleeve here, because this is kind of lightweight, and I'm putting my plastic band around this way to hold the sleeve in place so it doesn't start to come off and then get all bent. 3 to 6 players, 30 to 60 minutes, age 10 plus. 2009. All right. Strange Stuff, Smackatoa. All right, so we're down to the last 2 titles here. So we're going to save 108 for last, because that actually, it's Sudoku-like, and I like Sudoku puzzles. Now, this is another one of those. This was a very tight box, so I'll be back. I'm afraid when I open this up that I'm going to bend the box. I got to be careful. Okay, so this is, full wraparound color sides. Okay, I often some of these will put extra packing materials so things don't slide around. All right, so this is a strange little scarab game. You've got scarab beetles, you got snakes, and you got the eyes. So it's Egyptian themed. You've got a pyramid board outside track. Now this is it fits in, and it's easier to do it if you do it upside down, and you might not get the right one in the right place the first time because it's not. They're slightly different size, so you gotta. I don't know. I'm gonna tilt down so you see the issue. So these fit in, and then this one's over, and this one's under. So you gotta carefully line them up and try to get them in without. I think I got. Is that the right one? Damn it! Excuse my French. There we go. Yeah. All right. So now, oddly enough, all that trouble for this triangular board. Now, if you were using slightly bigger box, you would not make this where you'd have to assemble this. You would have a ready-made triangle, whether it's of wood or cardboard or something. But because of the size of the box, they decided to do it that way. Highly recommend not doing it that way. Make a square box, or make this smaller, or something like that. And oddly, the fact that these holes, you're going to put pegs or things going to stand there. Nope. These discs just sit over the top. This is a positioning thing. So this didn't even have to be a 2-layer board. It ended up being 2-layer board to jigsaw it, but it didn't have to be. And you just lay them over the top. You have one vertice of the triangle being your side, and your tokens of your type set up on the other side. And so now this is another oddity here. Now, I'm not trying to nitpick too much, but this is something that happens when you build something, you do some artwork, and then there's kind of like oh, wait a minute. So between the box on the back showing this inner triangle thing is here, which you put inside here. So when a player is gonna, like, if a player's sitting here and he's gonna be the snakes, you put the snake part towards it. All right. The thing is, okay, here they show the snake facing out, the scarab facing out, the eye facing the eyebrow on the top. When they actually built this part, the scarab is facing in, the eyebrow is facing in, the snake is facing in, and they're not in the same relationship. With the scarab up here, well, this is the eye, and that's the snake, and that's the eye, and that's the snake. So it's like it's upside down. If you had put it on both sides, you could have done it either way. As it is right now, you can't have someone play the scarab. Let's say, okay, the snake sitting here, and they want the scarab player to sit over there. Now, boy, the scarab player would have to sit here, and the eye player would have to sit there. Either that, or you ignore this, or you write on the other side, and it's sitting there like that, or something. So that's just one of those peculiarities of what they physically made the component out at the end versus what they showed here. You can't do it in the way that they showed it, given what this was made. Does that matter for play purposes? No. Only if you have someone insisting that, like, oh, I want to be on this corner and I want to have this player on my right or that player on my left, etc. That's the only time that would make a difference, is if someone's insisting on being one of these three symbols and having one or the other on a specific side. And you have to do it this way if you're using this, other than that way. Okay, so that's a meandering Mike, meandering a little too much. But again, it's interesting when physical component manufacture meets the road and how you do things, and if you're making a prototype or making different versions, and if it matters, and how do you account for that? And if this thing here didn't have this peg to make it easy to pick up, you could have just made this two-sided and have scarab here, and then in one case eye and snake, and then the other side you could have eye and snake. So I have not played this one yet. What's interesting about this from a game design perspective, I've never seen this before, but each of the three sides, the scarab, the eyes, and the snake, you start with 4. So like I was saying, you have a home base. Like scarab home base is here, and the scarabs start here. They start 2 in the middle and 1 each side, so they're starting opposite. All right? And then, as far as I know, you really need to have 3. It says it's 2 to 3 players, but I really think, given the way this is set up, without 3 players exactly, I think it's going to be weird and strange. But we'll see. But okay, so you have tokens on the board, but then you have these set of tokens where you have 2 of your own token, 1 of each of the other type. So if you're the scarab player, you have 2 scarabs, 1 snake, 1 eye. If you're the eye player, you have 2 eyes, 1 snake, 1 scarab, etc. And then what you do with these, you roll the discs. I mean, literally roll them. You know how to roll dice, right? And you probably have disc games where you throw them or flick them, tiddlywinks or whatever. But in this, you're supposed to roll them, and then they'll flop either back side up or front side up. and when you roll those that roll and flop to the back side up, those are not considered. And then you look at the ones that remained face side up. Pick up the 4 tokens and roll the blank side face up or set aside and not use this turn. And then you use the ones that... So I have never seen that mechanic before for rolling discs. So I'm not sure how I feel about that rolling and how subject it is to, can someone manipulate that? Because you're not supposed to throw them, not supposed to flick them. You're supposed to roll them. But how far do they really need to roll before it flops to one side or another? Can someone manipulate that? And if that's, how do you do that differently? Where if you put them in a cup and pick out. Well, can you tell which? I mean, these are engraved. If these weren't engraved, you shouldn't be able to tell which. If they were perfectly cut out, perfectly sanded, polished, whatever, equally, but these got to have a laser engraved side. So I don't know to what degree that again, the physical component reality, how it can actually affect your play. So I found this one very interesting questions of game production. You know, it's like where game design, you're randomizing. If these were coins, you could flip them. You got your 4 coins and you flip. But some people, toss it in the air. Like, are they good at manipulating that? Toss it and call it? I don't know. So I found that. Now, this is the paper I was talking about. This is a textured, visually, this looks like parchment. This is the light is sort of bouncing up, but it's not glary. It's not glare. The black text is very crisp on this. So I like this. I mean, I normally don't like a visual textured background and that it's usually interferes with the readability. But to me, this is quite readable, and I actually like that flavor of like, it's on papyrus, some kind of papyrus or parchment in ancient Egypt. So that aspect I really, really like. And you notice it's an oversized sheet. It's one sheet. It's a little longer. It's not as wide, but it's taller. So it's not 8.5 by 11. It's some weird dimension I haven't mentioned. We've got rounded corners. So it looks really cool. I really like those rules, and I like the unique dynamic of rolling these tokens. But again, I just don't know how fair that is, how manipulable that is, and what way around it. If they were smoother, you could draw them out of a bag, out of a cup, something like that. Flipping like tilly, I don't know how controlled that is. So this is Triarchy. Let me go ahead and put this back away. But this was a game by Bo Beckett. So this is, I don't think we've seen that individual before for a Blue Panther title. And again, this is, you got to be a little careful when you take it apart. This one's sturdier than the other wooden map one, the colony, where it had the little jig. So this one comes apart easier. And yeah, it's pretty simple. I'll put this in first, and then put the rule book on top. Oh, that was the rules for Central Civic that I left out. So yeah, this one was a really tight box. Squish. So I'm gonna zoom back out so we can see that. So I like the artwork there. The you can see the eye on this pyramid here, and then sort of see the snake. I can't see the scarab on this one, but you're looking at this from the distance, and these, like, you're close, so the perspective's weird, but I like it, the stormy and the interesting, mysterious perspective of that. So, Triarchy. All right, so now the last one, and again, there are other Blue Panther games out there from this period where he was doing mostly wood games, not your war games, but these kind of tabletop Euros of various varieties. And so there's still a few more that I haven't been able to track down yet. But all right, 108, a game that is one with universe. Yes, folks, bad pun, WON. Instead of one with universe, it's one with universe. All right, yeah, it's bad pun. Get on, move over, go past it. All right, this is a very traditional style box. 4-page rule book. This has one of those wood boards and wooden pieces. All right, so there's discs, there's 4 colors for the 4 players and black. All right. Now, for those of you Sudoku know that you've got squares and you've got tile or lines. You've got rows, columns, the squares. So you can see the color parts here. Okay. So like green has got a line, a column, and a square. Blue, red. So they're symmetrical in their four player layout. And then there's black spaces, the center square, 4 on this side, 4 on that side. There's one here that's hiding. And there are white ones here. Now, these brown ones, now, I'm not sure about it. I have not played this one yet. You end up, you're trying to basically Sudoku, fit your pieces in where you've got 1 through 9, once and only once each, in your square, in your row and your column. And because the white ones overlap, all right? So the brown ones are the center of your square, but it's not your color. Okay, and I'm not sure the significance. Why isn't it your color? Okay, you're going to have 1 through 9 in here, 1 through 9 here, here. So this brown space is going to have to be the same number in all of these, okay? Because that's where they're overlapping. So I'm assuming that's why it's brown, to help, focus on visually that central spot. Then there's these white ones that are always an overlap of 2 players, all right? So this guy's yellow, this guy's green. This guy's red, that guy's green. Yellow, red, yellow, blue, blue, red, red, yellow, yellow, green, blue, yellow, etc. All right? So the black ones, I'm not sure their significance, into what degree. I'm assuming that not only are you trying to fill out your color, but you have to maintain for not your color the Sudoku truthness. In other words, like as you're playing here in your thing, you couldn't use a number that was used here or here. Okay? So these black ones are going to be filled in from the black set of numbers that everyone, I think they're placed at the start. Like I haven't played the shadow squares, they're called. There are only 9 black. It says when you turn a number face up, it happens to be a 1 or an 8, you're obligated to turn one of your 2 black numbers face up and place it onto an empty shadow square before proceeding. So that's depending on the setup. I guess each player starts with 2 black pieces. 2 for each player and 1 for the universe. It doesn't explain what that means. It uses contradicting numbers to block colored numbers on colored squares. So these call the white ones the tiger squares, the shadow squares. All right. So I'm not going to go into more detail than that, but it's a 4-player Sudoku type challenge where you're dealing with your attempt to control and place your numbers getting interfered with by their numbers, the shared black numbers, the overlapping white numbers, that each white space is only in contention by 2 of the players, and being the first one to try to complete your whole dinghy bob. All right. Now, there's something where it's not like here. There's a thing about legal repeating numbers where you can have the same numbers in certain cases. So, opposing player numbers can repeat in any row or column containing a black shadow square. So on the outside, you can have repeats. Let's make some statements. The implication of it is not clear at this point. With a legal opposing player can repeat any row or column containing black shadow. However, red, yellow, and blue are vulnerable to attack if green has the black 6. Okay, so the other player is saying if he ends up playing a black 6 in here, then like, boom, these guys are booted out. This would be a form of a shadow attack, and like, up, out of there. you can't play there, so you're trying to sneak in and maybe get it in. And if you can finish, you're okay. But if someone else, these guys want to keep theirs there, but the other guy could force you out. All right, so that is 108. 108 is the official name of that game. And then with the pun in the subtitle, the game that is one with the universe. All right, so this has been Meandering Mike, meandering look at more Blue Panther games you've never heard of. Probably you've never heard of these games here. I do question whether you've seen or heard of these games or not. Some of you may have seen one, but if anyone have seen more than one, unless you specifically do like I do and go on and collect obscure games. Colony, Central Pacific, Triarchy. I'm getting some in the way of the other ones, but let's see here if I can. That's going to get in the way of Cambridge. Oh well. You don't have to see them all here. So, quick little note. The game giveaway on my channel, you can see back here in the background, there's Panzer and there's World at War back there, and there's a book. That game giveaway is good through Sunday, November 8th, I believe it is, coming up here. Or is it the 9th? Sunday, whatever. This next upcoming Sunday. I'm filming this here on Thursday. It'll be out on Thursday, this video. And so sign up for the game giveaway. You have to be a subscribe. You should subscribe. You should like the video. You have to be shipping to a U.S. address to win. There are 3 categories. There's Panzer the game. But if you win that, you have to be willing to pay the full shipping cost. There's a choice on a half shipping option, the World at War magazine, 61 Peaks of the Caucasus, or a zombie paint set. If you select that category and win, you're responsible for half the shipping cost. And you can enter the book category. And if you win that, there's no shipping. You can enter one of those categories. You have to pick. And so the categories that have less people entering, because maybe the prizes aren't as good, or people do or don't want to pay a certain amount of shipping or not, your chances of winning are greater if very few people have signed up. So check that out. Think about what you might want to try to win, what you might want to try to sign up for. And remember, take care of your games, and they'll take care of you. Ciao, y'all.